Zach, do you remember that art house film director, Michael Bay? It seems that, hot off the success of his genre-defining island film, The Island, he was entrusted to direct an adaptation of the age-old Transformers franchise from the 1980s. You forgot? Well, let me see if I can help you out. The film opens with a then-unknown robotic voice recounting the events of a war on a planet called Cybertron between two factions, Autobots and Decepticons. It seems that during this conflict, a robotic encyclopedia of knowledge known as the Allspark was lost to the far reaches of space, until it crash-landed on Earth at some point in history. We fast forward to present-day 2007 in Qatar. A United States forward operating base in the region is attacked and destroyed by a robot that had posed as a Pave-Low helicopter that was shot down months earlier in Afghanistan. Several Army soldiers, including Captain Lennox and Technical Sergeant Epps, played by Josh Duhamel and Tyrese Gibson, survived the attack and flee the area with evidence of the robot's existence. The setting moves to Southern California. We are introduced to the character of Sam Witwicky, played in a defining role by the world-class actor Shia LaBeouf. During a high school history presentation, he recounts how his great-great-grandfather Archibald Witwicky led an expedition to the Arctic Circle in the late 19th century, but had suffered a severe mental breakdown afterwards, prattling on about a giant Iceman, all while attempting to fence his predecessor's personal belongings, as he needs the money to purchase a car. After a brief fake-out at a Porsche dealership, Sam's father Ron takes him to a used car dealership, where a driverless 1976 Chevrolet Camaro pulls in after them. After an attempt by the dealership owner, played by Bernie Mac, to sell him on a lesser expensive and more franchise-authentic Volkswagen Bug, the Camaro detonates a concussive shockwave, destroying most of the glass in the area. Bernie Mac agrees to sell the Camaro sight unseen at a discount. The film moves to the Pentagon in Washington, D.C. Secretary of Defense John Keller, played by John "The Election Was Stolen" Voight, tells a gathered group of military and private sector analysts that an attempt was made during the attack on the base in Qatar to hack their network, but failed due to intervention by on-site personnel. With no nation state or otherwise taking responsibility, the U.S. is set on war footing against all enemies, with the analysts told to determine who is responsible for the attack. Meanwhile, Sam attempts to woo Michaela Baines, played by Megan Fox, at an outdoor event. Following a disagreement with her boyfriend over his Hummer, the vehicle, not something else, Sam's car, seemingly possessed, helps Sam stammer through countless sexual euphemisms and give Michaela a ride home, not sexually. During the scene, Michaela demonstrates an impressive knowledge of vehicle mechanics. While analyzing the signal from Qatar, a group of private analysts, led by Rachel Taylor's Maggie Madsen, determine that something is aboard Air Force One and it's planning a virus on their network. A robot disguised as a CD player attacks and kills several Secret Service agents, but not before getting the information it needed. Air Force One makes an emergency landing and the robot escapes, largely due to the terrible peripheral vision of all airport staff, into a saline S281 Ford Mustang with police markings, informing the driver that eBay user Ladiesman217 is in possession of Archibald Witwicky's glasses. Sam is woken in the middle of the night by his car starting and driving off. Assuming the vehicle is being stolen, he calls the police and gives chase on bicycle. He witnesses the vehicle transform into a giant robot and project a beacon into space. The mechanical being has much less aggressive styling than the other ones the audience has seen to this point. Sam is arrested by the officers responding to the vehicle theft. The soldiers who survived the base attack have finally made it to a settlement, but they are attacked by a robotic scorpion. After an extremely culturally sensitive sequence involving a call center, Lennox is able to contact the Pentagon to receive air support. After a display of U.S. military bravado done as best as only Michael Bay can, the Scorpion retreats after sustaining damage. The soldiers are rescued and sent back to America. Maggie, frustrated with her concerns about the technical power of the hacks and possible extraterrestrial origin being ignored by military leadership, copies the data and brings it to Glenn Whitman, played by Anthony Anderson. The Pentagon discovers the data theft, but not before Glenn is able to parse out Sector 7, Captain Witwicky, and Project Iceman from the signal. A hyper-realistic raid by the FBI on Glenn's house ensues, to which Glenn, while being arrested, utters, "Get off my grandmama's carpet. She don't like nobody on the carpet, especially police." Sam's car returns. He flees his home, but sneaks in another awkward moment with Michaela in front of some product placement. Seeking refuge from the Camaro in an underpass, he is spotted by a responding police car. When Sam tries to get help, the police officer exhibits uncharacteristic physical abuse and intimidation of a civilian, going so far as to transform into a robot and conduct an on-the-spot interrogation without legal counsel present. Demanding to know if he is Ladies Man 217 and if he has the glasses, the police car robot is attacked by Sam's car. Rescuing Sam and Michaela, they drive to a thriving warehouse district where a sensational fight scene between the yellow Camaro and the police car is instead replaced with a smaller CD player robot stealing Sam's pants and being defeated by Michaela. The yellow robot approaches Sam and Michaela. It can only communicate through sound bites on its radio. It tells of visitors arriving from space, hallelujah, and offers them a ride. Using the discussion as a distraction, the Feld boombox robot disguises itself as Michaela's cell phone. After sneaking in a commercial for the all-new Chevy Camaro, complete with Kill Bill soundtrack, the robot's allies start arriving on Earth. After scanning assorted vehicles and assuming their form, the friendly robots all converge in an alley and transform. The leader, having assumed the form of a Peterbilt semi-trailer truck, introduces himself as Optimus Prime. Optimus explains that they have come to Earth to seek the Allspark and intend to use it to rebuild their home world, but they must locate it before Megatron and the Decepticons find it. The Decepticons, we're told, will use it to enslave the human race. It is revealed that Megatron misjudged Earth's gravitational pull and crash-landed in the Arctic and froze. Sam's great-great-grandfather accidentally stumbled upon Megatron and briefly reactivated him, imprinting the location of the Allspark on his glasses. Sam also meets the rest of the Autobots: Ironhide, a GMC Top Kick, Ratchet, a Hummer ambulance, Jazz, a Pontiac Solstice, and his guardian, Bumblebee. While being interrogated by the FBI, Maggie and Glenn apparently being granted the opportunity by the FBI to don a Washington football team jersey between scenes to remind you that this portion takes place in Washington, D.C., explain their findings about the hack and plead to be able to speak to Secretary Keller before he goes to war with the wrong country. The Autobots with Sam and Michaela arrive at Sam's house to try to retrieve the glasses. The extended sequence is a textbook fish-out-of-water affair and is one of the standout scenes in the film. The Autobots continuously disregard Sam's orders to hide, destroy his home's yard, and Ironhide threatens to shoot his dog and kill his parents. Sam's drunken parents, oblivious to the Autobots' presence, confront him while he searches for the glasses, resulting in a generation-defining moment where his mother openly asks Sam if he's been masturbating, which must have been a fun discussion on the drive home for anyone in the audience under the age of 11. After awkwardly introducing Michaela to his parents, the glasses are located. Before Sam can give the glasses to the Autobots, their home is swarmed by federal agents, led by Simmons, played by John Turturro. Introducing themselves as agents of Sector 7, they arrest Sam and his family after Sam tests positive for radiation exposure. The Autobots disable the convoy and rescue Sam and Michaela. Optimus confronts Simmons over his agency being already aware of their existence. Bumblebee lubricates Simmons during questioning. Backup arrives and Bumblebee is captured when he refuses to harm the humans. Sam and Michaela are also taken into government custody. The Autobots, using the glasses, determine the location of the Allspark. Optimus, mostly for the audience's sake, tells his troops that if Megatron's forces overtake theirs, he will unite the Allspark with the spark in his chest, destroying Optimus and the Allspark, rather than let it fall into Decepticon hands. Experimenting with a detached portion of the Scorpion Decepticon, the army discovers that their tank-busting Sable rounds were the only weapon capable of damaging the enemy beyond repair. But before this information can be transmitted to the rest of the US Armed Forces, the virus in their network disables all global satellite communication. During the confusion, the head of Sector 7, Tom Banachek, played by Michael O'Neill, arrives demanding to speak with Secretary Keller. He reveals that the 2003 Beagle 2 Mars lander mission, previously reported as a failure, was a success that transmitted 13 seconds of video, indicating it was destroyed by a hostile alien robot similar in design to the one responsible for the attack in Qatar. With this revelation, Keller orders the military to find any means of communication to order their fleets to return to America, and releases Maggie and Glenn from FBI custody to join his team. The cast converges at the Hoover Dam. Simmons reveals Project Iceman, a non-biological extraterrestrial, which was transported from the Arctic, and for which apparently all human technology was reverse engineered from. Sam informs them of Megatron's identity and his mission to locate the Allspark. As a result, Sector 7 reveal that the Allspark is inside the Hoover Dam, having been constructed around it by order of President Eisenhower to shield its signal from anyone or anything. Michaela's Decepticon cell phone reports the location of the Allspark to their allies. They mobilize, including their apparent leader, Starscream, posing as an F-22 Raptor. Simmons demonstrates how the energy of the Allspark can be used to transform consumer electronics into hostile robots, foreshadowing how Megatron intends to use the Allspark. Starscream attacks Hoover Dam, causing Megatron's cryo-containment to begin to fail. Sam and the Army personnel negotiate violently with Sector 7 to argue for Bumblebee's release. "You want to put the fate of the world in a kid's Camaro?" Simmons asks. Bumblebee interacts with the Allspark and reduces it to a cubic foot. With Megatron thawing, they plan to take the Allspark to a nearby city and radio for extraction. Simmons, Maggie, Glenn, and Secretary Keller remain to try and contact the Air Force for assistance. Megatron escapes containment and berates Starscream for letting the humans escape with the Allspark. The humans reunite with the Autobots. Battle breaks out on a highway, briefly separating Optimus, who kills one of the Decepticons. The final battle plays out in downtown Mission City. Not Los Angeles, completely different city, it just looks like it. It is a glorious mess of CG robots fighting other CG robots, and it is as close to the physical depiction of a migraine as humanly possible at the time. Bumblebee loses his mobility as part of an attack by Starscream, but re-enters the fight with Michaela's use of a tow truck. The Army and Autobots give Sam cover to flee to a rooftop with the Allspark. Jazz is killed by Megatron. Sam trips while carrying the Allspark, causing a burst of energy and several pieces of product placement to start going on a murderous rampage. The attempt to extract the Allspark via transport helicopters fails since the Allies have not established air superiority. Optimus and Megatron fight, with Megatron gaining the upper hand. Optimus begs Sam to push the Allspark into his chest if he should fail. The combined might of the Army and the Autobots destroy the helicopter Decepticon from the beginning of the film. Starscream destroys the Air Force fighter jets that have arrived as reinforcements. As defeat for Optimus seems certain, a defiant Sam instead pushes the cube into Megatron's chest, killing him and destroying the Allspark and ending the conflict. With the Allspark lost, the Autobots pledge to remain on Earth to defend it from the Decepticons. Bumblebee is granted the right to stay with Sam. A sliver of the Allspark is lifted from Megatron's chest as an obligatory sequel hook. The government disbands Sector 7 and drops Megatron's body into the Laurentian abyss. Captain Lennox finally makes it home, and Sam and Michaela dry hump on top of Bumblebee while Ironhide and Ratchet look on. Optimus transmits a message to space inviting any remaining Autobots to Earth. Starscream is seen flying back into space as Linkin Park closes out the film.